Alright, hi guys, Jackie from editor for Mentality. We're here with Tim Mosso. Tim is introduce yourself.
I'm the watch specialist at Watchbox. We're an international vendor of pre-owned watches. I'm over here from the US, but a lot of fans abroad will know me from my YouTube channel, Watchbox Reviews, as well as my Monday broadcasts, which are always live, except when I'm in Singapore. Watchbox grew out of a desire of Justin Reese and Danny Govberg to create a OEM level of quality and access, as well as variety and international presence in the pre-owned space. For since time immemorial, you've been able to buy new watches with a high standard of quality and service. And the idea was basically just take that experience and transpose it into the pre-owned sector, because with new watches, you're going to go into a dealer, you're going to see watches made in the last 2 to 3 years, and that's it. Whereas in the pre-owned space, you've got every watch ever made by every brand, plus vintage. So there's just more variety, and frankly, a lot of times when you buy a watch new, it will lose a tremendous amount of value. So on the pre-owned front, you're able to get the watch closer to what its real market price and sustainable price is. So there's also a value proposition there.
Okay, so basically, to keep it simple, Watchbox is a company that provides second-hand or used timepieces at a very, very good condition. So you guys maintain a standard of your inventory, and it's one of the few second-hand dealers that have actually like 3,000 watches, you're saying?
At any given time on our website, 3,000 or more. We're always growing the number.
Or more. And they have, honestly, you guys should check out the site. We'll set the link up below. Are you American?
I am.
Okay.
USA?
So,
New York, but New York.
Then you would know, cause what's that fella's name? Odell Beckham Jr. He's on the Giants formerly. Now he's in Cleveland. He was once called out for wearing Richard Mille while playing an NFL game. So the thing is, I want to talk about athletes and watches, you know.
Well, no, it's good. I'm a Jets fan, so no one on the Jets has stuff that nice. Unfortunately, their watches are as lame as their gameplay. But it comes from the heart. It comes from a place of love. I'm sorry, it's true though. So yeah, the thing about athletes and watches is I think they tend to follow the same path that anyone follows. The first watches they want are the ones that everyone knows about because of advertising, mass production, widespread distribution. There's a Rolex store everywhere on earth. Like literally, everyone, whether they're watch collectors or not, knows Rolex, and they might know Omega and they might know Tag Heuer. So athletes are really like the rest of us. They start with what they know and what's easily available. Now, I guarantee you that Odell Beckham, like most folks who've used Richard Mille watches in gameplay, probably has a sponsorship connection to soften the blow if that watch gets destroyed.
100%.
So that's where you see the other half. What does the athlete wear outside of the field of play? And that's where things get really interesting. Because I find a lot of them, first of all, are going to favor bigger watches because most athletes are bigger guys. But they don't want to compromise on quality. So you'll see guys wearing larger Patek Philippe models, like a Nautilus 5980 chronograph, which is bigger than a standard steel Nautilus watch. You'll see a lot of times when there's a, oh yes, we have a 5980R up in the corner right there. You get a good sense of how big that is. When they do wear Rolex, after they get past the GMT and the Submariner and they get past the Daytona, because those are all 40mm watches, and for a lot of guys playing football, basketball, even baseball in the US, the baseball players are so big, you'll find that they start wearing larger watches. And this is when they have a choice of wearing what they want. Like David Beckham, yeah, he's wearing a Tudor because he's paid to wear it.
Yeah.
That's how you make money when you're done with football. But you'll find guys start collecting watches that are less common, like the Rolex Yachtmaster 2 has been a very popular celebrity watch. Also the Deep Sea, because it's 44mm. It's like a submarine on your wrist compared to a Submariner.
Yeah.
It's a huge watch, but it looks right if you are 6'7" and you're playing tight end.
Yeah, most definitely. Would you want to share with us actually what brands or what models are good for investment for the guy starting up?
Yeah, I would say most important is that an investment watch should be a watch that's not going to cost you any money in the long term. There are a lot of watches you can buy from great brands that are not going to be worth as much as what you pay for them. Like Vacheron Constantin and Alanco Zona are fantastic brands that make a wonderful product, but at the end of the day, if you buy them new, you're going to lose a lot of money, and I mean thousands of dollars. That's one of the reasons why pre-owned watches attract me more. I bought this watch pre-owned, and I bought most of my JLCs pre-owned because I don't want to lose $10,000 on a $40,000 purchase. So what you want to focus on is watches that are not in the middle of a bubble. Right now, the Patek Philippe Nautilus, which is a well-known sports watch, is probably, it's trading at over twice its list price used. So that can't be sustained. That was a watch that was trading at $22,000 used in early 2016, $44,000 used at the beginning of 2019, and then just recently it's been a $70,000 watch. You don't see a price ramp like that without a pop, so the bubble bursts. I would say consider 1990s Rolex Daytonas, because the current Daytona is trading at twice the pre-owned, or twice the retail price pre-owned. And I'm going to be honest, we sell that watch at twice its retail price pre-owned because that's the price of getting it immediately versus waiting 2 years.
Yeah.
But I will admit, you're paying for convenience. So don't go for the newest, hottest watch that's trading over list, because most of those are going to pay a price when the bubble bursts. I would say buy watches that are at least 15 to 20 years old from brands that have prospects to improve in stature over time. Rolex in the 90s was a brand that was very upwardly mobile. Coming out of the 80s, having made that transition from utility watches and professional watches to luxury timepieces, they didn't really have a setup to produce as many Daytonas as they would have liked because they were at the mercy of their movement supplier for production volume. So 90s Daytonas are a great choice. I would also say FP Journe from the early 2000s. Back in the early days, volume was much lower, and let's be honest, today volume is only about 700 to 900 watches a year. So if you're looking at a first generation Tourbillon Remontoir, if you're looking at a brass movement, which means rather than a brass caseback, it's going to be a silver caseback because it's rhodium plated brass. Those have excellent prospects because they are rare. When the company was making 100, 200, 300 watches a year, and any given model maybe a few dozen pieces a year, there was real potential there. I would also say, if you're interested in a smaller brand that'll trade amongst enthusiasts and you're willing to buy and hold, I don't think any one independent brand has done more to transform the landscape and I would say the coolness of independent brands more than MB&F, Max Busser and Friends. And I really think that the bumper crop, the dozens and dozens of independents we're seeing today, are really more a product of the success of MB&F in the 2000s and 2010s than they are a product of what FP Journe and before him Daniel Roth and Gerald Gento were doing. So I would say if you wanted to get into MB&F, the HM3, the HM4, and the HM6 are great long-term investment prospects because all of those watches are electrifying and very rare. They will be, the MB&F you'll see, I would say probably high 5 digits even for some of the most desirable models and maybe low 6 digits for something like an HM6 or an HM4. And the reason for that is just, we might be thinking, like I'm talking US dollars, just to clarify to our international viewers. All my prices are phrased in terms of US dollars. So Richard Mille is a brand that confuses me a little bit because as hot a brand as it is, I almost feel like we're close to peak Richard Mille. Like there's a point when a brand jumps a shark, and I need to use a US television term that might be international. Jumping the shark is being past your prime. So I don't think RM has a lot of growth left in terms of brand equity. I would not be shocked if there's a little bit of a pullback in values, which is why I would say buy Richard Mille if you think it's cool, but not if you think it's going to make you a fortune, because it might not. The best thing to do is look at a watch as an investment in fun, and then if you make some money down the line, that's the bonus.
It's a bonus, right? What do you think about brands like HYT?
HYT is a very audacious and innovative brand that I love personally because I like brands that push the limits of technology, and you can very rarely say something has been done for the first time in this industry, but with HYT, I can truly tell you that short of the ancient clepsydra water clocks, no one else had used fluid to tell time. And I will tell you that the early watches were too big. They were just too large, and the H0, the H10, and the H20, the H5 that just came out, those are the ones that are the best to buy because any wrist can wear them because they don't have lugs, and they're just more handsome. If you've got a huge wrist, maybe if you are a football player, then an HYT H4 Metropolis with a built-in LED light could be really cool, but I can't wear that watch on my wrist, maybe on my bicep. They're big. HYT is great, and they're rare. You're not going to see more than a few dozen of any given model a year.
Correct. We only kind of got knowing about it because they did a launch in Singapore, and then eventually they came out the one that they did with Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a cool ass model, man. My goodness.
They tell me that some of the skull-themed watches, like the Axl Rose, are among their strongest sellers. So while I like the logless watches, if you want an HYT that probably has the most recognizable factor to it, like the more people are going to recognize the HYT Skull series as an HYT, or just recognize it period than any of the other models. And Axl Rose is a legitimately awesome sponsor because he's a little bit controversial and a little bit dangerous. I don't think he's caused a riot at a concert in a few years now, but it's still a cool sponsor from a little bit off the beaten path. And the fact that he's worn it in concert, because I love hard rock and heavy metal, and I love 80s hard rock in particular. So that I loved HYT before that, but that endears them to me a bit more.
Correct. I thought it was cool. There's a lot of brands that do collaborations.
Yes.
I think a bunch of questions I asked you, I think Richard Mille was one of the first few that actually made athlete specific watches. Do you know any others that can share with us?
In terms of collaborations with athletes, well, Omega has been doing a lot of interesting golf-themed Aquaterra watches. In particular, and we'll stay away from Richard Mille for a moment because so many Richard Mille ambassadors exist, we could make the whole segment about them.
Correct.
And I want to make sure that Omega gets what it's paid for. But, you know, Sergio Garcia and also McIlroy, yes, very much with their own distinctive. Garcia with the green accents, McIlroy with the orange. Those watches have been through 2 generations now, and what interests me is that those are great watches you can buy for only a few $1,000s, and you can swim with them. They're anti-magnetic, they keep great time, they have advanced escapement technology. And I don't know specifically if the golf link-up is benefiting Omega much, but I know that the watches sell because they're just great designs. What I found is that it's very tough to sell a watch that isn't attractive, no matter how attractive the endorser. But if you've got an attractive watch, you're halfway there. I'll also say that historically, Rolex watches are sort of unofficially associated with ambassadors. Like, for example, Roger Federer has been just a serial ambassador for Rolex, and he's generally associated with the Daytona. I would also say
Tiger
that...
Woods.
Exactly.
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods in the past endorsed Tag Heuer and Tudor.
Yeah,
you can find a lot of the old Tiger dial Tudors, and they're a great value. So, again, he's almost more dangerous than Axl Rose at this point. But that's been a very successful partnership for them.
Correct. Is there... The funny thing about Singaporeans is, and this is the honest truth, right? Everybody wants to own a Rolex.
Yes.
Is that marketing done right, or is that just a sort of social kind of stigma that, you know, owning a Rolex is the best?
I would say it's 2 things. One, Rolex does a good job of keeping production levels down, which means in any given year they don't make as much money as they could if they just shipped unlimited product, but they're always able to sell less than they could. And it's the same reason why Ferrari often sells one example less of a limited edition car than they think the market can support. Leave the public wanting more. Rolex does that well. Second, Rolex marketing is excellent. They tend to target the audience that will buy the watch, and they tend to target few but really good associations with top-level athletes, entrepreneurs, people like James Cameron, events that are world famous and recur. Also, Rolex has the benefit of probably a bigger presence on social media than any other brand, and people do tend to want what they see on YouTube, Instagram, and I mean almost anything from Pinterest to Twitter to you name it. Everything from Snapchat to Periscope, Periscope that doesn't really hardly exist anymore. But the bottom line is, if you were to search Rolex on Instagram, you'd get more bounce backs than any other brand name, short of McDonald's, Coke, and Apple. Omega and Rolex, for example, both now offer 5-year warranties. So if you buy that watch 2 years old, you're going to get 3 years of warranty. And until recently in the industry, 2 years was the standard. You'll see extended warranties 4 or 5 years on Breitlings and Audemars Piguets. And the bottom line is that you're talking about a product that can last 300 years if it's serviced correctly and used well. Which is to say, if you look at the market for pre-owned cars, certified pre-owned Mercedes, BMW, it's huge. How long does a car really last the way it's made, the way it's supposed to work? Maybe 10 years before the sealed electronic modules, the engine control module, the transmission control module, before those systems don't work anymore. And yet, companies are able to sell that car 2 or even 3 times. With a watch, you're looking at something that's going to outlive you, your kids, and your kids' kids. If you buy that 2 or 3 years old, it's almost like it's brand new.
No.
And again, Watchbox applies a 2-year warranty to any used watch we sell, assuming it doesn't already have warranty beyond that. So you're really making no compromise. We'll be also, and here's the other thing, we'll be honest, we'll take good photos. If there's any scratches on the watch, you'll know. If there's anything that's other than factory on the watch, you'll know. But the bottom line is that those who want a new watch experience can still get that new watch experience with a pre-owned watch. And if you're talking about something like, for example, a platinum Rolex Day-Date, you can get into that watch for thousands less, which gives you thousands more for your next watch.
That's an evil thing to do because people just keep buying watches and constantly change.
It's a lifestyle.
It is 100%. I would like to thank so much, Tim, for joining us on here. Do you want to show some of the watches that you guys
Absolutely.
have in inventory?
Let's talk a little bit about that.
Oh, dude.
Should we get? Let's get Tasha to come in and open up the case, because I feel like showing these watches up close outside of the glass is what we're all about. Let me see if I can get it.
All right.
Actually, do